Imagine leaving everything behind. No traffic, no noise, no neighbors, just pure isolation. But what kind of people would build homes in the middle of nowhere? And more importantly, what are they hiding inside? From underground bunkers to mountaintop fortresses, these are the wildest escapes from modern society you've ever seen. If you love mind-blowing stories like this, help us hit 1 million subscribers this year. Smash that button and join the journey.
Elleray Island. For years, a picture of an isolated house sitting upon dozens of acres of land on an island circulated the internet, with no one really knowing what it was all about. Some speculated that the house belonged to singer Bjork, while others thought it was a celebrity house, or even one in case of a zombie apocalypse. Given its isolated position, the Vestmanna Eyjar island, known as Elleray off Iceland's southern coast, was a constant source of rumor and speculation. Did someone who really hated the outside world live there? As it turns out, no. Well, kind of. Around 300 years ago, 5 people lived on Elleray and decided to live as a community away from the mainland. They wanted to survive on raising cattle, fishing, and hunting puffin. All went well for 200 years, but opportunities were far greater on the mainland. Over time, the families left and built a lodge that they could use for years to come during the puffin hunting season. The house is still in use during summer for hunting, but it has no running water or electricity. Katski Pillar. Or so one man found by living in an old church on a limestone column around 130 feet from the ground. The Katski Pillar is located in the village of Katski, an Imereti region in western Georgia. The structure on the rock was built by the Stylites and used from the 9th century until the Ottoman invasion of the 15th century. It is only accessible via ladder. The limestone rock has 3 hermit cells, a church, a wine cellar, a curtain wall, and a stone crypt. It was supposedly built for Christian ascetics who wanted to spend their days in solitude on high pillars to get closer to God. It was rediscovered in 1944 by a Georgian mountaineer before becoming home to Maxim Kaftaradze in 1993. In 2013, Maxim gave an interview about why he decided to live on the pillar. He said that after being released from prison on drug charges, he wanted to purge himself of evil, meditate, and connect with God. He has remained there ever since. Just Room Enough Island, Canada. Well, we've got the perfect home for you. East of Ontario on the St. Lawrence River is Just Room Enough Island. And, well, there's just room enough for a house and not a lot else. This island is the smallest of 1,864 in the Thousand Islands archipelago that New York and Ontario share on the Canadian-US border. It's around 3,300 square feet, which is around the size of a tennis court, and has a house, a small beach area, and a tree. The Sizeland family purchased the island and home in the 1950s as a vacation lodge, and it quickly became a popular tourist destination due to its uniqueness. Its popularity is probably quite unfortunate if you were buying it to get away from people, though, as there's always someone lurking around to see what it's like. Even though it doesn't look like a real island, it's as legitimate as they come. It meets all the requirements, such as having one living tree, remaining above the water throughout the year, and being at least 1 square foot. Chess Pavilion, Mount Huashan, China. If you're not afraid of heights, exercise, or new experiences, then are you ready for one of the world's most dangerous hiking experiences?
Here's how we're attached.
Mount Huashan in China will deliver. The mountain is over 7,000 feet high and is one of 5 of China's most sacred mountains. But unlike other mountains that are 100% natural, there are hidden gems within this one. As you climb, Taoist temples are dotted around the mountain, with shrines, tea houses, and pathways carved into crags. According to ancient Chinese legend, the main path up Mount Huashan took 3,000 years to build, and it spans around 7.5 miles, but nearly 6,000 feet skyward. That's all quite exciting and interesting, but what about the chess pavilion? Seemingly out in the middle of nowhere, a pagoda sits on a rock face with what looks like no way in or out. The only way to access it is with a dangerous climb down a rock face, making use of metal bars and old footholds. Once there, you can enjoy breathtaking views and a game of chess. That's one way to escape the outside world, that's for sure. Casa do Penedo State House. And that's the story of Casa do Penedo in the Foz region of northern Portugal. Back in 1972, holidaymakers decided they wanted a getaway with a bit of a difference. Construction began of an ancient-looking home that was not all too different from something you'd find in the Flintstones' hometown. It was located all on its own in the countryside and consisted of rocks with a roof, windows, a door, and a chimney. There's plenty left to the imagination. On the inside, the isolated rock house with no electricity has log furniture and a giant 550-pound couch made from a eucalyptus tree. If you wanted to get away from the outside world and its modern ways, the Casa do Penedo State House would be an excellent place to start. It's no longer a holiday home, but it is somewhere you can visit if you happen to be passing through Portugal. Bishop Rock, Isles of Scilly, Great Britain. If you don't mind occasional lousy weather and having to get your groceries in by boat, then escaping to the Bishop Rock Lighthouse might be something to consider if you want to avoid the outside world. Bishop Rock Lighthouse is on the Isles of Scilly in Cornwall and dates back to the 19th century. Because of how much of a battering it takes from the heavy seas, it had to be built stronger than any other structure in the area. The lighthouse builders learned that early on, when their first efforts were swept away before they could install the lanterns. It has a solid drum base with granite blocks, iron tie bars, and a granite encasement. It's also over 140 feet above the level of high tide. If you're all about the best views when you're property shopping, then you'll get all that and more with the Bishop Rock Lighthouse. Even the Isles of Scilly are going to be attractive for anyone looking to escape modern life. They consist of over 50 small islands and a cluster of islets nearly 40 miles from Land's End. The Crystal Mill. If you're really not fond of people, then living in the Crystal Mill in Colorado is probably going to appeal. It's that tricky to access that people need to sign a waiver just to get that perfect photograph when they visit. The Crystal Mill was a power plant known as the Sheep Mountain Powerhouse that was built in 1892 along the Crystal River. It ventilated mines in the area and powered pneumatic tools. While it sits abandoned now, it would certainly appeal to anyone who would want to isolate themselves from others as much as possible. It's only accessible by challenging roads made of shale and granite, and many a vehicle has ended up upside down on the journey to get there. The narrow, bumpy, mountainous road is not for the faint of heart. The mill itself teeters on a sizable rocky face with the Crystal River flowing past. Homemade ladder access is the only way to get to it. If you don't mind lugging up one bag of groceries at a time, then this old mill would be perfect for your inner hermit. Haro Tak Sang, Haro Valley, Bhutan. If you usually have trouble reaching your 10,000 steps quota, then that could be a thing of the past by laying down roots in the Paro Valley in Bhutan.
You have to go back up.
Look up and you'll spot a temple with 13 monasteries, also called tiger layers, that were long used by Buddhists for meditation in the 8th century. Legend has it that the holy Buddha Padmasambhava arrived at a cave high in the mountains on back of a flying tiger. Given the structure's around 10,000 feet above sea level, we'd say he got off lightly. Everyone else has to walk, and it's not a journey for the faint of heart. From the valley floor, which is about 7,000 feet above sea level, you have to climb for around 2 hours to get to the tiger's nest 3,000 feet above. That means just to get to the temple, you're already 10,000 feet above everyone else. The steep trail is the least of your problems, because you also have to tackle the altitude, mist, and the views down to the ground, which surely make your stomach drop. Still, living here would sure cut down on receiving unexpected guests. Tristan da Cunha, Tristan, Atlantic Ocean. That island is Tristan da Cunha, and it's a British outpost in the South Atlantic Ocean. There's no airport or deep harbor, and the only way in or out is on one of the 9 boats that arrive every year. Once you're there, you can't leave for a month, and that's many people's idea of bliss. Tristan da Cunha is home to a volcano cone, a small hospital, roads, a pub, a rundown golf course that chickens roam, and very little else. Around 270 people call it home, and they cover a 38 square mile area. As far as industry goes, potatoes are the island's main crop. They also export lobsters and crawfish and raise livestock for island consumption. Tristan da Cunha is very much self-sufficient, so if you wanted to live somewhere off the beaten track and away from outsiders, this would be the very island to choose. Hermitage of San Columbano. How do you feel about climbing up a nearly 400-foot rock face or 102 rock-carved stairs with arms loaded with groceries to get to your home? If it means you can be far away from people, then it might be worth it. The Hermitage of San Columbano is a little under 2 miles from Rovereto in northern Italy. It is a structure built on a sheer cliff face. Natural rock roofing shelters it from the elements, while its location makes it tricky to access by locals and visitors alike. Legend has it that the structure was dedicated to a saint who, when he was a young knight, killed a deadly dragon. The dragon was supposedly responsible for killing children who had been baptized in the Lino River below. The church dates back to around the 10th century and was inhabited from 753. It is now open to the public, but it sure would make for a great hideaway from anyone who needed to break away from people. It's nestled into the cliff face, almost camouflaged, and also forms the starting point of the Treasures of Tromboleno route.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. More insane stories coming soon.